are visiting TAPA, Trinity Academy for the Performing Arts, here in Providence. It is an amazing public school that combines both regular study of math, English, other languages, and history and science with arts. We're talking to Headmistress Nanci DeRobbio. Thank you for taking time with us. You were just telling me, and maybe you could repeat, that you were raised by a family of teachers and preachers.
I was raised by a family of teachers and preachers, and education has been at the forefront of my upbringing. My father is a former president of a university in upstate New York. However, I've lived around the world. My parents believed in bringing a well-rounded education to myself and gave me a great foundation for becoming an educator and making an impact on our youth.
What did you consider a well-rounded education then?
At that time, I found that my mom was able to tap into my passion, which I find engaging in the lives of our students comes at the foundation of their passion. If we can bring out the passion in the lives of these students as far as their artistic talents in the performing arts, which is what we do here at TAPA, we're able to engage them in any kind of learning.
And so what you're trying to do is to look at the students themselves and see what they need.
Yes, we do. We look at the student from a student's perspective. My experience in education has gone from preschool to 12th grade. And what I found through my 30 years as an educator is that we need to discover who the child is, and we teach to the child. The content is important, but to reach them and have them embrace the content, we need to focus on the learning styles of the child.
So you're learning from the students is what I would hear.
We do. The foundation begins from learning from the students and helping the students to learn about themselves.
We had amazing interviews with the students, and the way that their eyes just lit up when they talked about this place, and they talked about coming here without a sense of themselves and moving through different classes which they knew nothing about and finding their place in one of those classes, and the role that the teachers played, talking with them in and out of class. It's really pretty amazing to hear the transformation that they will talk about, they feel happened.
Well, it sounds like you're really getting the essence of the experience. I get to experience that as the head of school of a charter school, in the fact that I've positioned my office at the end of the hall where I get to interact with every human being that enters my building on a daily basis. The sparkle in their eyes comes when they come to the door and say, "Mrs. DeRobbio, do you have a minute? Mrs. DeRobbio, are you busy?" And having my students and my teachers feel free to come in and celebrate with me, but also come in if they're distressed about something so we can problem solve together. It's about learning how to express yourself and feel safe.
Sounds as though you don't have a very traditional role.
No, I don't.
Both and.
No, I don't.
I need to ask you about the interface between traditional academics and arts, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to say all of these learnings, all these disciplines can be interrelated, and they can be interrelated by clear planning of curriculum.
That is absolutely 100% correct. I'd like to use an example as Shakespeare. Being that you probably met our Rhode Island state champion for the Shakespeare competition, a young man that has had a very challenging background with language. If you really look at Shakespeare, you can take history. History becomes alive in doing theater and doing Shakespeare. You need to understand the time period to be able to adequately go into character. English language arts comes into play in analyzing language, sentence structure, changes in language over time. You can take the theater aspect as we have theater tech, where the students develop the sets and scenery, which still takes you back into the historical perspective side, but then you're able to integrate concepts from mathematics. You need to know how to measure, know 3 dimensions, 2 dimensions. This is just one area that we have happening on a regular basis. And the beauty of it is the children can tell you how that art form, such as theater and learning Shakespeare in theater class and in their English language arts class and their historical perspectives class, how they're all intertwined and make learning much easier. And also it's a more efficient way, especially when we're dealing with the population that's coming in from Providence Public Schools or other towns, Central Falls, Pawtucket. Many of our students come from these areas with a deficit in learning coming in as low as on a 3rd or 4th grade reading level. You'll note that our graduation rate was 100%, and our students were accepted to prestigious colleges, and our students are going to college. That didn't happen by accident.
So there's outside tutoring as well as in-school encouragement, is what you're saying?
I wouldn't call it outside tutoring. In fact, we have a period called academic rehearsal. We're a performing arts school, and homework help sounds really adversarial as far as parent relationships with content and not knowing how to help their kids outside of school. Kids call their parents and say, "Mom, can I stay for academic rehearsal today?" And what they're getting is homework help.
So it's really important that they have that hands-on time with somebody who knows what's happening.
Even in the arts, we have more of a remedial and enrichment philosophy. We run an extended day where some of our students are here up until 7 o'clock at night participating in a variety of programs, including Shakespeare Society, Thespian, a dance club, a competitive dance group, all things that were never available to them when they were in the traditional public schools.
Probably would not have been available to any of us, is that right?
Absolutely.
As we're trained in school. Today I want to introduce Ruth Gardinet, who's here from 11th grade, and Sandy Ramirez, who's 10th grade, and Idalis Taylor, who's 11th grade. 2 theater majors and a music major. Ruth, tell us a little bit about your experience here at TAPA.
I can honestly say being here at TAPA is one of the wonderful things that has happened to me. If you was to know me when I was in middle school, I was a rebel. And TAPA has turned me into a leader. And you know, that is something I can honestly say is an amazing feeling, to say that you're a leader and people look up to you and you could do wonderful things for others. TAPA is not school for me. TAPA is more like home, somewhere I could feel comfortable coming to every day, somewhere I'm really excited about learning, which I'd never been in my life. And I honestly can say I love it. I love feeling like that. I love feeling ready for college. I love feeling ready for what's there for me and what's coming for me. And it's one of the best things.
So you've noticed a huge change in yourself, both body and soul, as you've been here, because now you're really interested in learning, and it's great that you're a leader.
Yes, I have, and it is amazing.
Thank you. And why don't you tell us something, Sam, about what you're doing and how you've gotten here?
When I came into TAPA, I was sort of the same as Ruth. I really did not care about my future, and I was like, well, I just might as well just deal with this for a little bit. But a lot of people changed my perspective and made me see the future, that I could be something better. And I have to thank God he gave me the chance that I will be able to be in the school. The school made me open my mind to the interests that I always loved. I always loved music. But I actually never thought about it. As soon as I got into the school, Mr. David, he really taught me that music is not only something that you listen to. Music can be something that you can show and reflect yourself. For every problem that you have in your life, you can always use music to sort of solve it. And that music can be an ammunition against violence, and that you can really use that to change people's life. And I have to say, thank God that he changed my life. He made me think about future. He really made me see myself bigger than what I used to be before I got into the school.
And when you came here, you didn't speak English, is that
I didn't
right?
speak English at all. This conversation would not be able to have if it would have been a long time ago, but thanks to the people that ever changed me to learn and pushed me further, I'm like this.
You've certainly used a lot of bilingual moments, I'm sure, in your life.
Thank you.
Okay, let's hear from you.
My experience has been a bit different. I came to TAPA not necessarily as a rebel, but more of a fish out of water, someone who was like a quirky artist. And I think without TAPA, I wouldn't been able to have this safe space where I could collaborate with artists and find other kids just like me. So TAPA has really been like another home for me where I don't feel weird like I would in another public school.
And that's because everyone here has the same goal of learning from being sort of an outsider in a way of learning and getting into the mainstream, but also keeping your individuality.
Absolutely.
Now we're here on the third floor, and we're talking to Daniel Lee White, who's here as the theater artist in residence.
Yes.
Means you are a dermatologist, or what?
I run the theater program here. I'm not a dramaturge. Our leader, Pat Hawkridge, is. They have the full concept of the theater, of the history and such. I'm more of the practical person who brings it to the students and helps them learn, understand how to process, understand how to actually do it, make it obtainable to them.
Okay, so what we're seeing in your class today is students going through a reading for the first time
Yep.
of the lottery.
Correct. They're doing a cold read of the lottery. That's our 8th grade class. Inside the 8th grade, they're trying to figure out what major they would like to be. So these students are a mixture of, they could be theater, film, dance, or music majors. And so we're running them through the process. And at the end of this year, they're going to choose one of those majors. And then for the next 4 years, that is going to be what art form they're pursuing.
And as you take them through theater, you help them to project themselves and to really think about the meaning and the context of the plays and to help them to get ready for production. I think that's a long road. And by the
Absolutely.
end of the summer, end of the winter, they're ready to do a performance. Is that right? Or
Yeah, if they were doing this one, this particular group is actually reading through and just basically understanding context, understanding stage direction. We not only handle ELA standards, teaching them how to handle it as a work of literature, but they're also learning through my class projection skills, self-confidence, self-worth, the ability to get up in front of a crowd and confidently speak out, so that even if they don't end up being theater majors in the future, they're leaving with real-world life skills that will help them in their careers and projects in the future, no matter what they are.
So that's a really complex series of learnings that
It
you're
is.
teaching.
Students and youth are far more capable than some people give them credit for, and they process really well and they absorb really well. And I really work on teaching them to believe in themselves, and it allows them to challenge themselves more than some people would think. So when they do perform, parents are really wowed to see what their kids are truly capable of.
So this is a public school,
Yes.
not what one would expect.
Yeah, I love how we take the arts here seriously. It is an academic, not an elective. The students have to pass the class. They need to be involved. And then through that, us teachers get to work together. And for instance, this play, The Lottery, is for the 8th grade tying into their history class where they're doing dystopian society, and the English class where they're going to be reading the Giver, which is also dystopian society, as well as The Lottery, and tying them and giving them a chance for when they're writing their papers for English or history, they can reference this piece and kind of tie the thing together, get a true understanding of the definition and the concept of a dystopian society.
So for you as a teacher, it must be very exciting.
It's incredibly exciting, man. I love what I get to do. It's incredibly rewarding, and it's what keeps driving me to push them, to make them find something to struggle with so they can do it and realize, wow, I am so much more capable than anyone has ever given me credit for.
I can't imagine a better job or a more important
absolutely,
job. Thank
absolutely.
you so much,
No
Daniel,
problem.
and we wish you the best in your future and for the kids. Hi, this is Joey Stefano, and it's Mr. Joey Stefano because he is a physics and chemistry teacher here at TAPA. And I would think that's very different-brained than all the arts programs. So tell me how everything intermixes.
Yeah, so it seems very much like chemistry and physics and arts are very separate. Like when we go to college, there's a College of Arts a College of Sciences. It's very separate. However, both of these processes for exploring physics and chemistry as well as arts are very, very similar. If you look at the engineering design cycle, it's exactly the same as the artistic design cycle. All about thinking, being creative, analyzing your resources, figuring out how you can create that awesome last product.
Yeah. So you set for yourself some hypothesis, and then you go about to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in dance or in visual arts or whatever.
Yeah, so in our arts classes, what we do is we try to create some sort of creation. So for example, like if you're trying to express a dance piece about systematic oppression in one way or another, you're going to start with some sort of question that you're exploring. At the end of the day, you're looking for how to create a piece to present that. We do the same thing in science. So if you're trying to solve some sort of problem, let's just say you're trying to keep an egg safe from dropping it out of the window, how are you going to solve that problem? You have to explore, analyze your resources, figure out what's going on, and come up with some sort of creation.
Okay, so we know that everybody dropped eggs out the window this morning. How many survived?
So we have 3 eggs that survived. 2 were partially damaged and 3 were totally obliterated. However, we learned through that. We learned through our failures here, the same way artists learn through their failures in their presentation.
Tell me about the periodic table of the elements. They've changed quite a bit since I was in school.
Yeah.
How do you teach those in a way that's interesting that will help your students to remember them?
Yeah, it's very tricky. So in our science classes, we try very hard to stray away from things like rote memorization. I'm never going to give my kids a quiz on to remember what element Li is. As opposed to that, what we try to do is build in units that have one major overarching question, like how can we use a periodic table to analyze trends in our elements. Today, right now, we're at stations learning about different things like electronegativity and burst ionization energy. And seeing how we can use our periodic table to analyze those trends.
So in the future, when students read something in the paper or whatever, they will understand what the elements are and how they combine.
Yeah, I really strive for my students to be successful in sciences and be aware citizens who trust science and understand that they need to question what people are saying and being able to do their own research on their own.
Do you think you found some scientists here?
I think there's a ton of scientists here. What people don't realize is that the most successful scientists and engineers are also successful artists. Those who can communicate their results and think creatively are the best scientists.
Wow, very interesting. Well, thank you very much for spending time with us,
Oh my
Joey.
gosh, thank you so much.
We wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
And thanks to your students, too. We're here now with Spanish teacher Michaela Makahi. We're so glad to be here today, and we're finding the school to be so full of energy and ideas. The school is bilingual, is that right?
The school as a whole is not bilingual. 10th, 11th, and 12th graders take Spanish class. Many of the students come from a Spanish-speaking background, but the school itself isn't bilingual. Their science class is only in English, their math class is only in English.
So if they need help and they understand Spanish more, is there help available to them?
Absolutely, we do have ESL resources.
And so what are you teaching in Spanish? Are there some kids that know no Spanish?
Yes, the classes are mixed level. One thing that's really exciting about Spanish class is it's so easy to integrate with the arts because any content can be in Spanish, whereas it would be in English. So we can study songs, we can do film reviews, we can watch choreographed dances, theater pieces. There's no real limit in terms of medium, which is really exciting for a school like this. There are students that are fluent in Spanish, there are students that are beginning levels, and kind of everything in between. So we have advanced studies programs, there are students who are TAs, they're community liaisons, they help me in class, they do advanced work, they take on research topics, they do independent reading. It's a really fun part.
So it's not really Spanish class as we think of it.
It's not.
You're
no.
sitting down and declining verbs or whatever.
No, there's very little straightforward grammar. It's more grammar in context, seeing how it's used in real life.
And I'm sure they learn all kinds of language when watching film. Or
Yes, absolutely. That's a really important thing about Spanish, especially because so many students do speak it at home, is getting exposure to lots of different countries and the way Spanish sounds all over the world.
So you're really a world language teacher, is that right?
Yes, exactly. And that's been a growing change in the movement, is to call language world language instead. And that's
So I've never heard of a world language teacher, so I'm glad to meet you. Are there other languages taught here?
There are not other languages taught formally. However, we do have an independent study program, and I have students in my physical classroom but taking Korean, Japanese, Tagalog, American Sign Language, and French.
So is your goal to make everyone bilingual?
Absolutely.
Which is really the way everyone has to be in the future.
Yeah, it opens doors. It just gives students so many options to perfect a language they already know or to learn a language that they don't.
Anyway, thank you so much,
Thank
Michaela,
you for
for
coming.
talking with us. And best wishes to you in the future.
Thank you so much.
We're here with 4 other students, 2 from 11th grade and 2 from 8th grade. Melanie Gonsalves is in 11th grade, and she is here. What department are you representing?
Theater.
Theater, okay. And tell me a little bit about how you got here.
Well, I heard about TAPA from an old theater teacher from 6th grade at Rajahans Middle School, and I only had that class like one time a week or twice a week, and she noticed how much I loved theater, so she told me about TAPA and how she thought I would do really well here. So she told me to apply, and I applied, and I won first in the raffle, and then I came here, and I've been here ever since 7th grade.
Xavier Wilson is in the 8th grade, and you've just come, is that right?
Yeah, this is my second year here.
Uh-huh. And what caused you to come here?
I was in a program called Breakthrough, and one of the teachers that are here now, the dance teacher, he used to work there, and he was all like, I'm moving to this school named TAPA. I think you'll really be best there. So I applied for it, and I got it, and I was really happy. The first year, I was kind of shy, but this year, now I'm out there, and I'm trying to help everyone that I can. I don't have a major yet, but I'm leaning more towards theater. I think theater was a good fit for me. If I could pick it, I'll really pick theater.
Well, there are lots of things to do in theater, that's for sure. So, okay. And then we have Matthew Henderson, and he's in the 11th grade. So you're old hand at this, you know it.
I'm a dance major. Before I came to TAPA, I came from a public school, and there I was very bullied, so that kind of made me go downhill in my grades and everything.
Yes.
So my assistant principal told me about TAPA, and I ended up actually getting in. So TAPA kind of saved me. So when I got here, I was very shy, very timid, and I didn't really express myself clearly through words. So when I got to dance, the dance teacher really fought for me because she saw potential in me, and I really liked it because it was a way for me to express myself through my movements, and I loved being able to do that because it was hard for me to express myself otherwise.
So you found a new way of expressing yourself in 3 years. Have you been here 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And so now when you look ahead, what do you see?
I see myself actually pursuing dance in the future. This actually gave me hope and to follow my dreams and be proud of myself.
And why don't we go on and let me talk to Anali Aguilar, and we're happy to have you here. Anali is in the 8th grade as well, so you've been here 1 year? 2 years? So tell me a little bit about your coming here.
Okay, so one of my older brothers came here, and he kind of introduced me because at home I really like singing, and he said that there's a music program there that can really help me since I'm a very shy person. And last year I didn't really tell much people, but this year I got to sing in front of my class when I went to the music arts, and that really boosted my confidence, and now I can sing in front of a couple friends and not really feel anything about it because they really support me and they try to push me so that I can be confident with my voice and not worry about every competition that I get.
Oh, total change for all 4 of you, is that right? Mm-hmm. From what you were. We're here with Matt Garza, who's the dancer in residence, is that right? Dance professor in residence. And you and I have worked together briefly at the Slater Mill, and I watched what happened when you got the kids to think about mill workers and the machines and how they were involved somehow in that history, as we all are. But you talked to me then about the meaning of this school for you and in the general realm of education, why this school is so important.
Yeah, well, it's funny, that little project we did, I think, holds a lot of resonance still, because at the time in this performance, we were exploring industrialization and how children were involved directly in the mills and in the process of industrialization. And for me, those themes still are very current because our schools are still modeled to meet the needs of an industrial society. So getting to work at a school like TAPA, which is being imaginative in the way that a school can look and feel like, is pushing the boundaries of how schools can meet the needs of contemporary society, which is very exciting for me. If you look at most cultures in the world, art exists regardless of what schools look like, or regardless of how people have been educated, or regardless of what an economy looks like. So this is something that we need to keep, and our youth need to continue creating and not just replicate the art that the adults are making, but actually create new art forms that speak to new issues and new questions that we're having. So yeah, as our society develops, I think our schools need to be transforming as well. So working at a school like TAPA, which is public, which is accessible, and which makes a pretty big statement by saying that art matters enough for kids to have 2 periods of a day. We're taking a baby step in the right direction, I think.
So how much are you modeled by other schools?
Being a public school, we're still trying to prepare our students to perform in the ways that, to take the SATs and to get into universities if that's the path that they choose. But then we're also trying to prepare them just to be human beings and to live imaginatively and creatively and to hang on to art regardless of where they end up in life.
So tell me about accessibility, because I think that's the main thing that I learned from you last year was the accessibility of this school to any student.
Yeah, so we're being a public charter school, it's a lottery system, which means that any student who would like to be admitted signs up and their name is essentially drawn out of a hat. So it's randomized. Doesn't matter what color you are, how much money your family makes, what school you're coming from. Doesn't matter if you had good grades or had bad grades. You kind of get a fresh start, and that's really exciting. It's really exciting, particularly because our school is built to meet individual needs through art, and art is the first go-to that we have when a kid needs a little bit more support, which I think is also very unique.
The students tell me the teachers are very available too, and that's wonderful. Thank you, Matt, for your time, and best wishes in the yoga classes and everything that goes on here. You have lots of fans, I'm sure, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you so much.
I want you to tell me your philosophy or your mission, because I think it's so outstanding, and I do hope that other schools are going to model themselves after you.
Well, the bottom line is that we know that businesses in this world rely on creative problem solving. That's what comes out of TAPA. We have kids who are confident and well prepared for career, college, and better yet, life.
And you're proud of it.
I am extremely proud of what we do here. I can't imagine doing anything else, and I hope that we can share this with the world and make it a better place, as well as more schools like ours. Thank you for spreading the word.
Nanci DeRobbio, thank you so much for having us in your office and for allowing us a day in your school. We are all really impressed. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Good News Rhode Island. We hope that there's good news in your community. We're sure you're helping to make it, and maybe TAPA is a good model for your school system. Thank you.